Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when you find yourself standing at the crossroads of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. You've heard the voices. People who have told you what you can't do, where you won't go, and who you'll never be. And let me tell you something, my friend. Those voices are real. They'll come at you like a storm, loud, relentless, and convincing. They'll try to define you, limit you, box you in. But I want you to understand this one thing right now. The moment you decide to prove everyone wrong is the moment you step into the power of your purpose. I want you to understand that the people who doubt you, the ones who look at you and see a problem, not a solution, they are only seeing what's in front of them. They don't see what's inside of you. They don't see the seed of greatness that's been planted in your soul. They don't understand the fire that's burning inside you, the passion that's pushing you to rise. They look at you with their limited vision. But you've got a vision of your own, a vision that refuses to be contained by their small, narrow thinking. See, the thing about people who doubt you is they want to define your potential by their experience. They'll tell you you've never done it before, so you can't do it now. They'll tell you you don't have the qualifications, the resources, or the connections. But I want you to hear me clearly. God does not need the approval of man to open doors for you. You've got something inside you that's bigger than the limits of your circumstances. The truth is, the world doesn't always see what's on the inside of you. It doesn't see the dreams that keep you up at night. It doesn't see the vision that God has placed in your heart. But you've got to learn how to walk in faith when nobody else can see what you see. There will be moments when you have to step out and declare, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. Not because you want to make them feel small, but because you know that there's something bigger than their opinions working inside you. Now, I know it's not easy. There will be times when the weight of doubt will press down on you. You'll be tempted to listen to those voices. You'll look at the obstacles and wonder, how can I possibly do this? But hear me, if you're going to prove everyone wrong, you've got to make up your mind that their opinions do not determine your destiny. You have to be willing to silence the voices of negativity and start listening to the voice of faith. See, faith is not just about believing in something. Faith is about believing in the possibility of what could be, even when it hasn't manifested yet. It's about seeing beyond what is to what could be. It's about looking at the challenges in front of you and saying, this is not the end of my story. This is just the beginning of what God is going to do in my life. I want to encourage you today that you are bigger than your challenges. You are bigger than the limitations that have been imposed upon you. You are bigger than the doubts that have been cast in your direction. And I'm not just talking about surface level things. I'm talking about the power within you, the ability to rise above what others expect of you, the strength to keep going when everyone else says give up. You've got to decide that you are going to make a commitment to yourself, a commitment to prove everyone wrong. And when I say that, I'm not talking about doing it in bitterness or anger. I'm talking about doing it with a heart full of faith, knowing that God has equipped you for the battle, knowing that He's already given you the tools you need to overcome, to rise up and to take your place in the world. When people tell you that you can't, that's when you start moving. That's when you put your foot on the gas and drive forward with a determination that says, I will not let the opinions of others define me. I will not let my past mistakes or failures define me. I will not let the circumstances in my life dictate my future. I will prove every single person who ever doubted me wrong. But hear me today. It's not just about proving others wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable of achieving greatness. Sometimes the loudest voices in our lives aren't the ones around us. They're the ones inside us. The negative self-talk, the doubt, the fear, the insecurities. We tell ourselves, I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I'll never get there. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe those lies. But today, I want to declare over your life that you are more than enough. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You have everything you need to succeed right inside of you. We have to become more careful about comparing ourselves to others. Let's do it for us. The Bible says in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That means no matter what the world says, no matter what the challenges look like, no matter how impossible it may seem, with Christ on your side, you are equipped for every challenge. You are empowered for every assignment. You are more than a conqueror. You've got to believe that. You've got to rise up with a confidence that doesn't come from the world, but from the one who created you. Stop looking at the empty hands and start focusing on the unlimited potential of what's inside of you. There's greatness inside you waiting to come out. But the world won't see it until you make the decision to prove them wrong. The world won't see your greatness until you make the decision to rise above the expectations, to rise above the negativity, to rise above the labels that others have placed on you. But you will not thrive. It's time to stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you can. It's time to stop asking for permission. You don't need anyone's approval to step into your destiny. The only approval you need is from the Creator who made you, who called you, and who has equipped you. You are a child of the Most High God, and that alone qualifies you for every blessing, every opportunity, and every victory that's coming your way. So when you face challenges, when you face setbacks, when you feel like the world is against you, don't throw in the towel. Don't give up. Don't listen to the people who tell you that you'll never make it. Instead, stand up tall and say, I'm going to prove them wrong, not for their sake, but for your own. Not to show them they're wrong, but to show yourself that you've got what it takes to rise above. And let me tell you something else. Those who doubt you, those who criticize you, those who try to hold you back, they're not your enemies. They're your motivation. Every time someone tells you what you can't do, let it fuel you. Let it drive you. Let it be the spark that ignites your passion to push harder, work smarter, and dream bigger. Remember this, the same people who doubt you now are the same people who will watch in awe as you rise. They'll wonder how you did it. They'll wonder what magic formula you found. But you and I both know the secret. The secret is faith. The secret is resilience. The secret is the belief that you were born for more than what you see. When people look at you and say, you'll never make it, that's when you have to say, just wait and see. I'm not done yet. God's not done yet. This is just the beginning. And when you do, when you prove everyone wrong, you won't just be proving them wrong for the sake of proving them wrong. You'll be proving to yourself that you can rise above any obstacle, conquer any challenge, and fulfill the purpose that God has placed on your life. Don't be afraid to stand alone. Don't be afraid to take the road less traveled. Don't be afraid to dream big, to step out in faith, and to take risks. The journey may be difficult, the road may be long, and the critics may be loud, but I want you to know that nothing is impossible for those who believe. That's my intention today, is through the distractions, through the fears and the worries that many of us have, so that you can face 2021 head on and incorporate your life into your destiny and purpose and prove them wrong. And when you do, when you walk in your destiny, when you stand in the place that you once thought was impossible, know that you didn't just prove them wrong, you proved yourself right. The speech emphasizes that people who doubt you only see your current circumstances, not the greatness within you. You must trust your own vision and faith, recognizing that your potential goes far beyond the limitations others place on you. When faced with doubt and criticism, the message encourages you to not let others' opinions define your journey. Instead, use their negativity as fuel to prove that you are capable of overcoming challenges and achieving greatness. The last paragraph of the third book in the trilogy. Listen to this inspiration. The speech stresses that with faith in God, you are equipped to rise above obstacles. Philippians 4:13 is referenced to reinforce the idea that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you regardless of external opposition. While the speech is about proving everyone wrong, it focuses on proving to yourself that you are capable of greatness. It's about building your own confidence, rising above circumstances, and fulfilling your God-given purpose. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see the reflection of who others say you are? Or do you see the reflection of who God created you to be? The world has a way of trying to define us by the things we've done, the mistakes we've made, or the labels we've been given. But I want you to understand that the true measure of who you are isn't found in the opinions or judgments of others. It's found deep within you, in the potential that lies dormant in your soul. Head bang, I'm talking about the kind of potential that is greater than your past, bigger than your circumstances, and stronger than any external force that might try to hold you back. That potential is within you right now, waiting to be unlocked, waiting to be activated. The question is, are you willing to trust in it? Are you willing to believe that the person staring back at you in the mirror is capable of achieving greatness despite what you've been through, despite what you face, and despite what others may say? I want to remind you today that your potential doesn't come from your past. Your potential is not determined by the mistakes you've made or the failures you've experienced. It's not defined by the challenges that have come your way or the struggles you've had to endure. Your potential is greater than any setback, greater than any disappointment, greater than any obstacle that stands in your way. Your potential is something that was placed inside you from the moment you were born. It's a gift from God, and it is not dependent on anything external. It is a force that has been woven into the very fabric of who you are. Now, I know that sometimes it's hard to see that potential. Sometimes it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and the circumstances around you are so overwhelming that it's hard to believe that you can rise above them. But let me tell you something. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Just because you can't feel it in this moment doesn't mean it's not waiting to burst forth. I've come to tell you that what's inside of you is greater than anything that's ever tried to hold you back. There are seasons in life when you'll face doubt, doubt from others, and doubt from within yourself. People will tell you what you can't do, what you'll never achieve, and what you'll never become. But their words are not the final authority on your life. The only one who has the final say about who you are, what you can do, and what you can achieve is the one who created you. And I want you to know that God never makes mistakes. He has a plan for your life, and He's equipped you with everything you need to fulfill that plan. Your potential is wrapped up in your purpose, and nothing or no one can take that away from you. When you trust in your inner potential, you begin to see things differently. You stop viewing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as a victor. You stop looking at the obstacles and start looking at the opportunities. You stop doubting your worth and begin to realize that you have been called to do great things. And that realization changes everything. The reality of the situation is this: without it, you will suffer the same thing as everyone else. The moment something becomes obvious, you might be thinking, but how can I trust in something I can't see? That's a valid question. It's not always easy to trust in something when you can't physically touch it, see it, or hold it in your hands. But let me ask you this. Have you ever seen the wind? No, you haven't. But you can feel it, can't you? You can see the effects of it. You can watch the trees sway, the leaves rustle, and the clouds move. Just because you can't see the wind doesn't mean it isn't there. And in the same way, just because you can't always see the potential inside of you doesn't mean it's not there. It's there, and it's powerful. It just needs you to believe in it and trust it enough to take action. Think about the great leaders and achievers throughout history. Think about the people who have made a lasting impact on the world. Do you think they got to where they are because they had it easy? Do you think they reached their potential because everything lined up perfectly for them? No. They faced challenges, they experienced failure, they were told they weren't good enough. But they trusted in their inner potential. They believed that something greater was inside them. And because of that belief, they pressed on, even when the road was tough, even when the odds were stacked against them. They didn't give up because they knew that the potential inside of them was greater than the challenges they faced. You have that same potential inside of you. It may be hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, and discouragement, but it's there. And if you choose to believe in it, if you choose to trust it, you'll start to see doors open, opportunities appear, and progress take place in your life. You don't have to wait for the world to validate your potential. You don't have to wait for someone else to tell you that you're capable. All you need to do is trust in what's already been placed inside of you. There are some of you who have been through seasons of failure, seasons of disappointment, and seasons of discouragement. You've tried and failed again. And each failure has left you questioning your worth, your ability, and your future. But I want you to hear this. Failure is not the end of your story. It's a part of the process. Every failure is a lesson. Every setback is an opportunity to grow. And every time you get back up after falling, you are proving to yourself that you trust in the potential that's inside you, no matter what the outcome might be. Think about the process of growth. Think about a seed planted in the ground. When that seed is first planted, it's covered by dirt. It's buried beneath the surface, and for a while it seems like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, there's a process taking place. The seed is growing roots. It's breaking through the soil, reaching for the light. The seed has all the potential it needs to become something beautiful, but it has to trust the process. And eventually, after time, patience, and nurturing, that seed breaks through the soil and grows into a plant. Your potential is like that seed. It's already inside of you, but sometimes it's buried beneath the weight of circumstances. Sometimes it's buried beneath the dirt of disappointment, fear, and doubt. But just like that seed, your potential is working beneath the surface. It's growing, developing, and waiting for the right moment to break through. And when it does, it will be stronger, more resilient, and more capable than you ever imagined. The process of unlocking your potential may not be quick. It may not be easy, but it's worth it. Every step you take toward trusting in yourself, every moment you choose to believe that you are capable, every time you rise above the doubt and fear, you are moving closer to the person God has called you to be. And when you trust in your inner potential, you begin to realize that there are no limits to what you can achieve. The key to unlocking your potential is not in waiting for the right moment or the perfect circumstances. It's in taking action. It's in stepping out in faith even when you're not sure what the next step looks like. It's in trusting that the potential inside of you is enough to carry you through whatever comes your way. And it's in believing that no matter how difficult the journey may be, you have what it takes to reach the destination. I promise you this, if you're listening to this right now, the world is always changing. And with the system that we've created here, you cannot afford to sit still and expect a perfect storm. So I want to encourage you today to stop looking outside of yourself for validation. Stop waiting for the world to tell you that you're good enough. Stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to step into your destiny. Your potential is not something that can be measured by the standards of the world. It's something that has already been placed inside of you by your Creator. And when you trust in that potential, when you believe in the greatness that is within you, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that can stop you from becoming the person you were always meant to be. The world may try to define you. People may try to limit you. But you have a power inside of you that is limitless. You have a potential inside of you that is greater than any challenge, greater than any obstacle, and greater than any fear. And when you trust in that potential, when you walk in that confidence, you will see doors open, paths cleared, and your dreams realized. The key is not in waiting for the perfect moment, but in trusting that the moment you step out in faith, your potential will carry you further than you ever imagined. So trust in yourself. Trust in the greatness that's within you. And remember, the world will only see your potential when you believe in it first. You have everything you need to succeed. Now it's time to trust in it and let it come to life. There are moments in life when the world around you feels heavy, when you're faced with circumstances that seem insurmountable, and the voices of doubt and negativity grow louder with each passing day. People will tell you that you're not enough, that you don't have what it takes, that you'll never make it. And there will be moments when those voices, those doubts, those negative words from others, sometimes even from within yourself, threaten to drown out your faith, your hope, and your vision for the future. But I want to remind you today that rising above doubt and negativity is not only possible, it is your divine calling. You see, doubt is not just a feeling, it's a barrier. It's a mental block that prevents you from seeing the fullness of who you are and what you can achieve. Negativity, whether it comes from others or your own internal dialogue, has the power to distort your perspective and cloud your vision. But you, my friend, have been equipped with everything you need to overcome the doubts and negativity that try to keep you down. So, the moment you decide to rise above them is the moment you unlock the potential that's been waiting to be unleashed within you. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going as planned. When life doesn't seem to be cooperating, when the challenges pile up higher than you can manage, it feels like everything is against you. You might wonder, why me? Why does this always happen to me? But hear me. What you're going through does not define who you are. The circumstances you face today are temporary. They are not your final destination. And just because you're facing opposition doesn't mean you've been forgotten. In fact, it might just mean that you're closer to something greater than you've ever imagined. You're on the brink of a breakthrough. It's in those moments of doubt when everything feels uncertain that you have to dig deeper. You have to remember that the power to rise above is already inside you. Doubt has no hold on you unless you allow it to. The voices that tell you to quit, to settle, to give up on your dreams, they can only have power over you if you let them. But when you make up your mind to press on, when you refuse to let the negativity of others or the doubt in your heart dictate your future, you begin to change the course of your life. The challenge comes when you're stuck in a cycle of negativity. It might be coming from external sources, the people around you who don't believe in your vision, the critics who have no faith in your abilities, the voices in your life that constantly remind you of your limitations. Or it might come from within. Maybe you failed before, and the failure has left a scar in your heart. Maybe you've been told that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not qualified enough. Those words sting. And sometimes a sting lasts longer than we'd like to admit. But I want you to understand this. Those words do not determine your worth. The key to rising above doubt and negativity is recognizing that your identity is not defined by the opinions of others or the internal doubts that surface in your mind. Your identity is not found in your failures, your setbacks, or your challenges. Your identity is found in your Creator. We are creators. We belong to the indispensable component of all things, separating from our Creator. And when you begin to align yourself with the truth of who you are, when you begin to understand that you are a masterpiece, fearfully and wonderfully made, you start to see the doubt for what it is, an illusion. When you start to rise above, it doesn't mean that the doubts and negativity won't come. It doesn't mean that the challenges will disappear. But what it does mean is that you no longer give them permission to control your actions, your emotions, or your future. You see, the enemy will always try to attack you in the areas where you're most vulnerable. He'll try to remind you of every failure, every weakness, every past mistake. He'll use the voices of others to sow seeds of doubt in your heart. But you have the power to choose which voice you listen to. And the voice of faith is louder than any voice of fear, any voice of negativity. Every time you make the decision to push past the doubt, you're strengthening your faith. Every time you decide to rise above the negativity, you're walking in your authority. You were made to rise above. No matter how many times you've fallen, no matter how many times people have told you that you can't, God has placed a spirit of resilience within you. He's called you to be a conqueror, to be victorious, to rise above the challenges and take your place in the world. I know it's not always easy. I know there are days when the weight of the world feels like it's pressing down. There are moments in life when the road ahead seems uncertain. You face decisions that feel too big, too important, and too overwhelming. You look around and it seems like everything is out of your control. The circumstances surrounding you are loud, and sometimes they make you question if what you've been believing for will ever come to pass. In these times, it's easy to allow fear to creep in, to doubt whether the promises of God are true, and to wonder if you are on the right path. But in those very moments, when doubt seems to overwhelm you, it's crucial to remember one thing. Faith and confidence in God's plan will guide you through every storm, every obstacle, and every uncertainty. There is something incredibly powerful about having faith in God's plan for your life. It's not just about believing that He exists or hoping that things will work out. It's about knowing deep down in your spirit that God has a purpose for you, a divine purpose that is bigger than anything you can see right now. It's about trusting that He knows the path even when you can't see it clearly yourself. It's about the confidence that even when life feels messy, when things don't make sense, God is still working behind the scenes. And no matter how much confusion or doubt may swirl around you, His plan will always prevail. If you know that, faith at its core is the confidence that God is who He says He is and that He will do what He has promised. It's an unshakable belief that He has a good plan for your life, even when the road seems long and the answers seem far off. Faith doesn't always come with an immediate understanding. Sometimes it requires stepping out in the dark, trusting that God will illuminate the path step by step. But with that faith, you find peace. You find peace. With that faith, you find strength. And with that faith, you find the courage to keep moving forward, even when things feel uncertain. The Bible tells us in Hebrews 11:01, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Faith is not just a passive belief, it's active. It's not merely wishing that things will turn out well, it's trusting God's plan, even when you can't see how it will unfold. And that trust, that faith, is the foundation for your confidence. When you know that God is guiding you, that He has already mapped out every step of your journey, you can walk with confidence, knowing that He will never leave you, never forsake you, and will always provide for you along the way. Confidence in God's plan means having the assurance that everything in your life is working together for good. It means understanding that the good, the bad, and the ugly are all a part of His divine design. You may not understand every setback, every disappointment, or every challenge, but your confidence lies in the truth that God is not surprised by your struggles. He knew them before they happened, and He is using them to shape you, to mold you, and to prepare you for the future He has for you. And the last thing that He has for you. There's a beautiful promise in Romans 8:28 that says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." This is not just a comforting thought. It is a truth that we can cling to in the hardest of times. When you place your trust in God's plan, you can rest assured that no matter what happens, He is using it to bring about something good in your life. Even when you don't see how things will work out, you can trust that God is working on your behalf. Even when the pieces of your life seem scattered, you can be confident that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating every moment for your good. But this kind of faith doesn't come easily. It's one thing to talk about faith when everything is going well, when life is smooth and predictable. But it's another thing to have faith in God's plan when the storm is raging, when the future feels uncertain, and when the pain of the present is overwhelming. It's in those moments that your faith will be tested. It's in those moments that you have to make the decision to stand firm, to trust in God's sovereignty, and to believe that His plan is better than anything you could imagine. That decision to trust in God's plan requires surrender. It requires you to let go of the need to control every aspect of your life, to release the illusion of self-sufficiency, and to place your trust completely in His hands. Trusting God's plan means saying, "Lord, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I know that You are good, You are faithful, and I can rest in Your promises." It means acknowledging that you are not in control, but He is. And in that surrender, you find peace. You find the confidence to keep moving forward, even when you don't have all the answers. One of the greatest examples of faith in the Bible is the story of Abraham. God called him to leave his home, his family, and his country and go to a land that God would show him. Abraham didn't know where he was going or how everything would unfold, but he trusted in God's plan. And because of his faith and obedience, God made him the father of many nations. many races, many colors of people, many species on the earth, many races, many cars, many countries. And because of his faith and obedience, God called him to lead his people. Abraham's story shows us that faith in God's plan often requires stepping out into the unknown, trusting that God will lead you every step of the way. It's important to note that faith is not a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. Every day you have to decide to trust in God's plan, to hold on to his promises, and to stand firm in your belief that he will never leave you. There will be days when doubt tries to creep in, when the circumstances around you threaten to shake your confidence. But on those days, you have to remind yourself of the truth. God is with you. His plan is good and he is faithful. Your confidence isn't rooted in what you can see or understand. It's rooted in who God is and what he has promised. One of the most powerful aspects of having faith in God's plan is the peace that it brings. The Bible says in Philippians 4:6-7, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." When you trust in God's plan, you can release your anxiety and your worry trust in you. When you trust in God's plan, you can release your anxiety and your worry. You don't have to have all the answers because you know that God does. And when you place your trust in him, he promises to give you a peace that surpasses all understanding, a peace that guards your heart and mind in the midst of uncertainty. Remember this, people walk around with a 70-shade solution for their chaos. But Jesus among the disciples said, confidence in God's plan also means having the courage to move forward even when the path is unclear. It's easy to get stuck in a place of indecision, to hesitate because you don't know what the future holds. But faith gives you the courage to take the next step, even when you can't see the whole picture. It gives you the strength to press on, knowing that God will guide you every step of the way. And as you take that step, you will begin to see his plan unfold in ways you never imagined. God's plan for your life is greater than you can comprehend. It's greater than anything you could dream up on your own. And the more you trust him, the more you place your confidence in his plan, the more you will begin to see the beauty of his work in your life. The journey may not always be easy, but with faith in God's plan, you can walk with confidence, knowing that he is with you, guiding you, and leading you into the future he has prepared for you. Let this be an inspiration for you on your journey. When you choose to trust in his plan, you open yourself up to the possibility of a life beyond your wildest dreams, a life filled with purpose, peace, and fulfillment. There comes a time in every person's life when they must choose. Will you live your life seeking to prove yourself to others? Or will you prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving everything you've dreamed of and more? The world is full of critics, doubters, and people who will try to define you by their standards. There will always be someone ready to tell you what you can't do, what you should have done, or what you will never achieve. But here's the truth. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone but yourself. The most important approval you need is not from others, but from within. It's about stepping into who you truly are, embracing your potential, and fulfilling the purpose that only you were created to fulfill. In this world, it's so easy to get caught up in what others think of us. We live in a society that constantly compares, critiques, and judges. The noise around us can be deafening, and if we aren't careful, we can spend our entire lives chasing after the approval of people who don't even understand the fullness of our journey. But I want to encourage you today to stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward. The true measure of your success isn't how others see you, but how you see yourself. It's not about meeting someone else's expectations, but about fulfilling the destiny that God has placed on your life. The only person you need to prove anything to is yourself. Proving yourself isn't about showing the world what you can do. It's about discovering the greatness within you, even when no one is watching, even when there is no applause, and even when the world is silent. It's about looking into the mirror each day and seeing someone who is worthy of their dreams, capable of their goals, and equipped with everything they need to succeed. It's about believing in yourself when no one else does and choosing to rise even when you feel like you've been knocked down. When you begin to prove yourself not to others but to yourself, you become unshakable. You stop depending on the approval of others to move forward. You stop looking for external validation because you know who you are, and more importantly, you know whose you are. You know that your worth is not tied to the opinions or judgments of others, but to the identity that has been placed in you by your Creator. Only when you realize this will you settle for anything less than what you can do for yourself. If I tell you, when you understand this, you realize that you are not in competition with anyone else. Your journey is uniquely yours. The only person you need to compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Are you making progress? Are you growing? Are you staying true to the path that God has set before you? That's the only standard that matters. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of approval from others. We live in a world that constantly wants to measure and rank people. Social media, television, and the constant stream of information that bombards us daily can make us feel like we are constantly under a microscope. But I want you to understand that the more you seek to prove yourself to others, the more you lose sight of your true self. People's opinions of you are fleeting. One day they'll praise you, and the next day they'll criticize you. If you base your worth on what others think of you, you'll always be on an emotional roller coaster, up one day and down the next. But when you stop seeking their approval and begin proving to yourself that you are capable, you become anchored. You become steady and rooted in the truth of who you are. Proving yourself to others often comes with the pressure to conform, to fit into boxes that others have drawn for you. People will try to tell you what you should be doing, what path you should be walking, and what success should look like. But I want you to remember this: your path is yours alone. No one else has walked the exact journey you're on. No one else has faced the same challenges, endured the same struggles, or been given the same dreams and aspirations. Your journey is unique, and it's not meant to fit into anyone else's idea of success. When you try to prove yourself to others, you lose sight of your individuality. You begin to follow their definition of success rather than trusting in the one that God has placed on your heart. The truth is, there will always be people who doubt you, who question your decisions, and who try to tell you that your dreams are impossible. They'll say that your goals are too big, that your vision is unrealistic, and that you'll never make it. But here's what you need to understand. Their doubt is not your burden to carry. People who don't believe in your potential can't see what you've been called to do. And that's okay. You don't need their approval. What matters is that you believe in yourself. It's not about convincing the world of your greatness. It's about walking in the confidence that you are exactly who you were meant to be, and you are capable of doing exactly what you were called to do. You know, you reach a destination in life and the wheels of the dream car fall off. Now, proving yourself doesn't mean becoming arrogant or prideful. It's not about walking around with a chip on your shoulder or trying to outdo everyone around you. It's about living in the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you are capable of. It's about embracing your strengths and acknowledging your weaknesses without being ashamed of them. It's about taking ownership of your life, your decisions, and your future. There's a difference between proving yourself to others and proving to yourself that you have what it takes to achieve your dreams. When you seek validation from others, you're giving them control over your self-worth. But when you choose to prove yourself, you take back that control. You take responsibility for your own success, your own happiness, and your own journey. You no longer let the opinions of others dictate your future. You know that the only person whose opinion truly matters is the one looking back at you in the mirror. Proving yourself to others often leads to a life of constant comparison. You look at someone else's success and begin to measure your own worth by their achievements. You might think, if I just had what they have, or if I could just do what they do, and before you know it, you're lost in a cycle of envy and self-doubt. But when you focus on proving to yourself that you can achieve your goals, you shift your mindset. You stop comparing yourself to others and start measuring your progress against your own past. You celebrate your small victories. because you know that every step forward is a step toward your ultimate goal. The truth is, no one knows the depth of your struggles, your dreams, and your heart like you do. No one else has walked in your shoes or understands the weight of your dreams. You are the only one who knows what you're capable of. So why waste your time seeking approval from people who don't know your journey? Why waste your energy trying to prove something to people who don't understand your vision? Instead, use that energy to prove to yourself that you're capable of reaching new heights, achieving things you once thought impossible, and living a life that's true to who you are.